What I'm about to show you, again, happens at night. You can be in these fields or not. We're just going to give you a flavor of what goes on here. You'll take a look here. If this item, let's say that I sell solar panels, and you'll see that the first thing here is you'll see the history starting to build. This item has a very busy spring, and the item has a very busy fall. You'll notice that it's actually tenfold, right? I have, and this would make sense because it probably follows a building season. March, April, and May are very busy, and so is September and October. Notice that Velogix has picked up this sales trend. I'm actually selling a little less of this every month as well. We've picked up that trend automatically and associated this to be a seasonal forecast. So the forecast is giving me the ability now to automatically create that 12-month rolling forecast. This is a roll-up of all of my locations. Let's take a look at just LA. In just LA, you'll notice that the numbers have changed a bit. It's still seasonal, but let's take a look at location 2. Let's take a look at the San Francisco warehouse. Well, oddly enough, this item out of San Francisco isn't seasonal at all. Take a look. It's actually very consistent. Notice the same exact item in a different location might, in fact, have a separate forecasting technique. In this example, it's a trend. It's not seasonal. So it's evaluating every single item at each location independently to pick the right forecast so we can replenish the correct way by location. So it's doing all of that. It's keeping track of this data for me. It's adding all of this up. It's then looking at location detail. And just to show you what's going on here as my little example, let's say into LA, the item has a 90-day lead time. And I order for it once a month from that Singapore vendor. But in my San Francisco day, it's an additional one in my location. It's an additional one, meaning it takes 91 days to get into San Francisco because I transfer it once I get it, wheel and spoke type mentality. Or they could all be independent. And it takes an additional 2 days to get into Florida. Also, I order from this vendor once a month for my main distribution center. However,